Farm Companion.
That's not how I usually open it. And here we go. Farm Companion.
Farm Companion.
We'll get straight.
Rock and roll, baby.
Running on not a lot of hours of sleep from yesterday's travel.
Feel pretty good.
It wasn't too bad.
Got a solid 6.5. Rolled it into a nice fast this morning.
Ugh, I didn't get 6.5. I got less than that. I got like 4.5, 4 and 4.45.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it was good. Yeah, inadvertent fast for me today. I was like, I should go get lunch, and then I just never made it.
That's what it was. Yeah. It's the last minute. It's like, I'm just not going to eat today.
Yeah, I'll eat at dinner.
I'm hitting a nice stride here. Nice stride of
fasting.
I don't know if it is ketosis, if I get that wrong every time I say it, or just, but yeah, you get that faster's high.
Mm-hmm. After the hunger.
After the hunger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to hydrate.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Hydrate.
Need that water.
Electrolytes. You'll be good.
That's what plants crave.
So something like, is it Mark Wahlberg who like fasts for like, I don't know, a week plus at a time or something?
There's people that do it. I don't know about Mark Wahlberg.
That's wild.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Too fat for that.
It's cool. It's cool to realize that that your body can do that. I'm sure it's not fun. Well,
yeah.
Like I'm saying, there's highs and lows.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on like what do you have to do. Like I'm sure if I was just like, I don't know, if I just had to screw around the house or whatever, like, yeah, it probably wouldn't be fun, but you could do it. But like just from work, like hell, my brain doesn't work half the days. I assume I'd be really off base at that point.
Have you ever done a fast?
Yes.
Like what's your, how long?
24 hours.
Like a 24-hour fast, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and did you feel like moments of like clarity in that? Like,
yeah, and definitely like of energy and like didn't feel sluggish, like clear.
Yeah.
But there are also moments of like I couldn't think straight at all.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know how that would work for like a week of work.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know biologically, like, or beyond that 24-hour period. I think that's the longest I've ever done too.
Yeah. Like no offense to Mark Wahlberg, but he just wakes up and goes to the gym and does whatever he wants, probably.
Meaning?
He didn't have to work.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's something to just knowing what your body will do in that that state. I don't think it's bad for you.
No, it's uncomfortable. State of uncomfortableness.
Parts of it. I do think that, like I'm saying, I think there's, I don't know, we should try sometime. I'd go for I mean, maybe build up to it. 24 is a good goal and very doable. Anybody can do 24.
I wonder how much weight you lose in 7 days like that. Because you're hydrating, you're taking electrolytes, you're keeping those things in check.
I don't know.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's like 10 or 15
I don't know.
pounds.
I don't know enough about how like your reserve system, your fat caloric burning stuff, how that works. You know,
it's a Farm Companion. Maybe we'll tie it back into deer in a second. But like
body companion.
There is a like there's a part where people do like calorie deficits to lose weight, and your body actually slows its metabolism, right? So like and it's not for long term, but temporarily, like you actually don't lose lose weight as fast because your body slows everything. It's not like it just constantly burns at the same rate.
Right.
So like people do that all the time. They're, you have to find that gap that basically you can lose weight and your body doesn't like destroy your metabolism to where you're not losing weight at the same time. You're just starving yourself basically.
It's cool.
I don't do that stuff. So.
It's cool. I don't do it a lot. Generally, like we started with, the fasts are like pretty last minute and just kind of like
inadvertent.
Yeah.
Inadvertent.
It's like I can turn a bad situation like, oh, I don't have time or I forgot to eat into like I'm fasting. So I'll make it like an 8 or 16 hour thing.
Speaking of deer, a buck will fast during the rut, I would assume.
Yeah, I've heard that.
They have to drink.
More and more recently, like they're just running off of fat reserves.
Yep, they have to drink. Well, you talk about like when you skin out a buck and like you're like, man, look at all the fat on this hind quarter, and there's other ones that are just like, phew, there ain't nothing, paper thin.
How much do we know about that? Like,
what do you mean?
How much they actually eat or don't eat during that period?
I mean, I don't know if there's studies on like actual how much it's for sure less like during the rutting periods.
Is it because they're busy, or is it they literally are like that's the time where they just
they're focused on breeding and tending and moving and finding and see, because it's a whatever 2 week
Is there an
period.
opportunistic bite like here and there?
I'm
like,
sure.
Hey, we're laying down here for a minute. You cool if I just
I'm sure.
Grab a bite.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like the deer that I've seen in lockdown and stuff with like the doe's up browsing around and she's
All the
doing her
time.
thing.
All the time.
He's not. He's just like
waiting.
He's waiting
watching,
and looking,
defending.
watching. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really seen him let his guard down to like eat something. I have seen him drink because they have to. I think they would die.
That's such a weird state to see them in. I remember, and I mean, I know the your go-to, the buck that you killed that like committed suicide.
Oh yeah.
Mine was a little different. It was in Kansas, and it was like I thought I was gonna kill this deer. It was the same year that I shot at Pretty Boy.
Yep.
It was like the next day or two. I had another shooter coming in, and it was like 45 minutes to an hour before dark that I first saw him, like 100,
And they're just
150 yards away, and they were moving so slow. And he would stand in the exact same spot for it must have been, I don't know, 5-10 minutes at a time, and she would get just far enough away from him, and then he would like make a scene about it and just like run around in the brush and then stiffen up and then and then do it again, and he would just stab you. It was the weirdest thing. He was just posturing to her, or
it's that lockdown side of things. It's when that happens, their movements and the ground they cover is like minuscule.
It was frustrating because I ended up not getting a shot, and he walked right under the stand, like right after dark.
After dark.
Yeah.
I lucked out. I climbed up in the stand, and it was like 20 minutes after I was in the stand that I saw him like raking a tree, and like, but it took him 2 hours to finally get 100 yards to me.
Yeah.
And the whole time he knew he was dying. Like, I was gonna kill him, but he was like, man, maybe I'll get one last breeding before.
Yeah, that is wild.
But yeah. Anyways, we talk about that on the food side. Clover's popping.
Yeah, it is.
Clover's popping.
Where do you want to go with this today? You want to talk Illinois, because that's what
we're
coming
gonna
up?
Yeah, so they're listening to this on Sunday this week. We are going to Illinois for a couple of days. We're gonna go out.
Couple projects on the docket here. We got to with the house. We got to get our.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the house.
We got to get
frost
meet
seeding.
a contractor, meet with some stuff out there. We got to get some frost seeding done.
And sheds.
I think we're gonna also meet maybe with Brandon from Pheasants Forever. He's the seed. He's gonna swing by.
Okay.
Maybe, and we're gonna just chat about the seed blend. So I think he oversees a lot of the different varieties they have for CRP programs and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So that'd be cool.
Yep. Shed hunt, contract, seed, frost seed.
Yeah, and hopefully spend most of our time walking.
Maybe mow corn. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be quick. We could get that done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm really excited to really walk.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into it.
We're gonna dive in.
Yeah, every nook and cranny, we're going in.
Yeah,
we're looking.
It's a little embarrassing to say, but not embarrassing. It's just it's wild how time flies here. It's like when we first went and saw the farm, it was like July.
Yep.
June,
4th of July.
So
right
like,
around the 4th of July.
And in the Midwest, so getting into
it was hot as shit
on a CRP farm. So it was getting into the mess of summer.
We were talking about the poison hemlock that we were like just rubbing all our arms in and had no idea what it was that first time.
Yeah. So, but despite that, I mean, we're going to walk the farm. We're not going to buy a farm without walking it. So dove in and, just kind of did a speed loop as much as we could, walked kind of through the center of some of the bigger blocks of timber and stuff, but not really. It's not like we got a chance to walk out every ditch. And
I remember walking
there are
up
parts
in
that we haven't touched.
Major block up on the knob, and it was like whatever, a bachelor group bed area. Like there was 5 or 6 beds right there on a knob. Like you just knew it. Like this is where they were.
Yeah. You're like, we'll take it.
Probably the last time we've been in there.
For sure is the only time I've been up in that block of timber.
Yeah.
The closest we've gotten would be like the Osage Grove.
Yeah. Or recovering my deer.
Or recovering your deer, which is not.
Yeah. It's right there at the edge.
There. Yeah.
Yeah. No. So that, we haven't been up into that, and like any of the like main drainages in the farm, like where we know that these deer are using all the time. Yeah. Like to and from stands, get in and get out.
Never have walked from Honey Hole up to the Cove. You know what I mean? Not even sure what that looks like.
No idea.
It's a mess. I know. Like I know there's it's a jungle in there.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna dive in pretty hardcore. So I don't know. We're gonna get there. What was that, Wednesday?
What's your Wednesday? What's your shed prediction? How many think we'll
over
find?
Under on the sheds? I like this. 6.
I was gonna say 6.
Ah!
But I can't now because you said it first. I will say
$1, Bob.
Damn, 6 is a good number. I'm gonna say 8.
Whoa.
8 or more.
Any matches?
Yeah, 2 matches.
Wow.
1 or 2 matches. Yeah, I'm getting crazier.
Yeah. It would be cool. I mean,
I think we're going to find the 11.
Well, I was going to say, I had a couple people, I was just talking about shed hunt, and they were like, what are you looking for? So the 11, we are pretty confident he dropped. He's going to be, I think, 60s.
Problem is all that freaking foxtail. Like, there's a sea of stuff that we may never find him in.
Yep. 60s, 11. We should find the 8 that walked right underneath you, which would be high 40s, maybe?
I feel strong about him. Yeah, I think we'll find him.
He was holding half the other day. That's the only thing. I was like, I know they're not going to be laying like this because he was holding half.
I think we'll find him in and around, like between the cove, the grain, and the honey hole. He'll be in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's his spot.
Although, I don't know. It could be one. Because he hits that clover plot too. I know his route. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if we really wanted to focus on him, we could walk that. And really, not to deviate from the sheds too much, I do think that there's some spots we should go, like, really look at.
For
a stand.
Oh.
Possible access stand location. One of them, I think, is up the creek from the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally to potentially use the road, the creek for access there. And or, if right on the
to get behind the house,
to get to
like
the northwestern side of the Corn Cove.
Yep.
To see where they're crossing that.
I get you.
It's the same route that, like, if they're coming out of the point, walking across that CRP field, they're crossing that somewhere and jumping up over
every deer's
Corn
coming
Cove.
Across that.
Yeah, which has me thinking, like, that, and the point stand has me thinking about, and the southeast side of Corn Cove. All those stands have me thinking about using those CRP fields as essentially dead space, like blowing your wind back in there. I think you hunt the point with a northwest wind. I think you potentially hunt, depending on the tree availability, this creek stand I'm talking about on a west-southwest.
Yep.
And you hunt the Corn Cove on a west-northwest.
Just use all the CRP is dead. Yeah, I mean, that's the, like, obviously, just the way that these properties all lay out, especially in the Midwest with drainage ditches, like, you play your wind as best as possible, but it's going to swirl. They're going to catch it somehow. But I think utilizing, what we're finding at least, is they're using the cleaner access points from a movement base. So if you've got a 20-acre, like, heavy-duty warm season grass field, they're probably using the edges as their travel corridors. Doesn't seem like they're just walking through the middle of that damn thing.
See, I would disagree. Like, those two specific examples from that point. Well, for the most part, yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's not really a CRP. You're talking about the dead 8 acres in the middle.
No, I'm talking about the big CRP field.
Yeah. You think they're just walking right through the middle of that field?
I think one of the primary movement patterns is from the point of timber below the north plot to that crossing at the stream, right through the middle of it.
Well, we also cut a trail through there.
Not on the trail. West of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's that 8.
Yeah, I know he did that.
Came clear across it, and I saw that 3-year-old do it the following day. Exactly the same thing. I think it's more of a point-to-point thing in that situation.
Just closest distance.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's very crossable. So, I mean, if that CRP field was more dense, then maybe that wouldn't be the case.
Not.
And I only hunted that for like 2 days.
Sure.
So that's a minimal.
Yeah, I mean, because I know that they use that trail a lot from our camera standpoint that we had cut. Why wouldn't they? It's easy. But yeah, it probably wasn't in the more prominent place from that point-to-point crossing. Yeah, I mean, those are the things, like, just different ground than what we're used to hunting, like having just big CRP fields and open ground and open, tillable around us. And, like, yeah, I don't know what those deer do. I do think that the more and more is that they're using very small pockets for, like, living. Not to mean that they aren't traveling during the rut and all that stuff, but, like, from a just normal where do they live thing, I think it's way smaller than in, like, Ohio and Kentucky and Pennsylvania. Yeah.
So specifically, Crazy Horses, the deer that you're talking about, he was the most, and really one of the more perplexing deer, like I said, just yesterday or whatever that was. I just don't know. I just can't explain. Like, we saw him, we know he was there, and especially compared to the year before.
That was my
stomach. Is that your stomach?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I'm fasting.
Wow. Nice. Yeah, we're getting there. I can't explain it. And so I would love to find some evidence of him to verify, especially in that little pocket where I'm thinking, it's like, man, if we find a shed or something in there, I'm like, freaking, he really is doing that. He's really just hunkering down in here.
Well, I mean, I think we had a buck last year that showed up handful of times in October and I think early November, or maybe just October.
Talking about Crazy Horse?
No, I'm talking about the Kicker 8. And then that deer disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
And then this year, did not see that deer until February 2nd.
Yeah.
And showed up on our farm randomly on February 2nd. And I say that because I'm like...
One time, right?
Just one time.
Last year, just one time.
No, we had three different days of him.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mid-October 20th, and like the night I killed my buck, he showed back up.
All nighttime, right?
Yep, all nighttime.
Okay.
And so I'm just thinking, like, think of a normal mature buck home range. Like, that deer's moving, 1,500 acres, 1,000-acre home range, something like that. And it's like, doesn't seem like it out there. Because, like, he shows up on February 2nd this year. Like, I would assume he probably wasn't that far away during the season, and he never came on our property. Same with talking to the neighbors. It's like literally across the road. They have deer that we've never seen before. And it's across the road, a rural road. Like, how do those deer not show on our farm at all? I think they're just because of the landscape being primarily open once the ag goes down, I think they just are in tighter home ranges.
I'd love to know on that 8 this year, because he seemed like he was covering our entire farm.
Yeah,
we knew that.
He was a kamikaze on our farm. Like, we could have killed him 10 times if we actually tried to hunt him.
I wonder how big his range actually was.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? If he was...
Or was he just using our 140 acres?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I mean, we saw him enough on our place that I'm like, was he actually leaving and going places?
I mean, based on how quickly he could cover our farm, like from one end to the other, I got to believe.
Yeah, it was 5 to 10 minutes.
I'll bet it was a third of his territory, a quarter maybe, like on average in a given.
The surprising thing with that is, like, we saw him a lot in daylight, which makes me think he was betting on our place, because when he would get up, we'd see him.
It sure seemed like we were his on a.
So if that was the case, like, is he traveling far distances at night? I don't know. And because of the problems, like, we've talked about this before on, like, some of these research studies where they're GPS on, it's like nobody's doing that in these kind of habitats in the Midwest. Like, it's, big woods in Pennsylvania or like Mississippi pine forest or whatever. It's like, what are these deer doing? Mississippi State did do some stuff in Delta.
Was similar.
Yeah, in that Delta stuff. And it's like, those deer are covering serious ground. It's like, is that the same in the Midwest? Is it different? Like, I don't know. Similar habitat, but like obviously much different location.
Yeah.
And pressure probably.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I would we talk about like the vulnerability of these deer and their movements and stuff, and it's like, you would think that if they are moving that much, they would be getting killed. Like, for instance, that buck that showed up on February 2nd this year, I would have said with high likelihood that deer got killed last year, because we never saw him after October 30th.
It's funny, in the course of the last 10 minutes, we went from like, they don't leave an acre block to could be huge. I think it's more the former. The older the deer gets, I mean, I think that's just generally accepted. Most people will have observed the same thing. The older the deer gets, the smaller the core range seems to get also. But it's also, deer specific. I think each deer...
Yeah, some are travelers.
They do different things.
Well, that's what makes it hard about, like, your property. It's like the majority of us who are managing a property and running cameras are getting nighttime deer pictures, which don't really mean a whole lot, right? From a hunting standpoint. Like, it's like, maybe you're influencing them on what they're eating. But like, unless they're on your property during daylight, like, you're not really having an influence on that deer from a getting it year to year, especially, or having a chance at killing that deer.
Right.
So, that always is like the kind of thing I'm looking at. I mean, think about the number of, like, obviously most of these mature bucks are going to be nocturnal, right?
Yeah.
And so you're not getting a ton of mature buck daylight pictures. If you are, like, you're in the game on them. Like, he's there. He's there. But I guess what I'm thinking of is, like, as you're starting to manage your property and trying to identify, like, is your property even a good deer hunting property? It's like, if you're getting purely night photos and you're not getting any daytime photos of these deer, unless it's just because you're pressuring the hell out of it, you have to wonder if the deer are even there during hunting hours. And if they're not, like, you're not influencing them at all. You're not even in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard one. Even with cell cameras, that's a hard thing to come to fruition on, because you're seeing rubs, you're seeing scrapes, you get them on camera at night. Yeah. Like, you think you're in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Your farm could suck. There's farms out there that suck.
I mean, well, I guess that's what I'm saying.
It's not that they suck. It's just, they're not.
How many farms are actually out there that become, like, because if you think about, like, a mature buck bedding in an area, like, first of all, very few mature bucks to begin with.
I would say for a farm to be good, I mean, I'm sure you could find exceptions to this, but generally speaking, for a farm to be good in terms of, like, you're killing mature bucks on it, it has to have buck bedding on it, or immediately adjacent to it with some challenging access from that side.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right. So, because for them to daylight, just because of their nature, crepuscular. You got to be somewhat close to bedding.
Yeah, because I would say, like, my mountain property in Kentucky, it's not a good deer hunting property, and, like, 99% of the deer buck pictures I get are at night.
Which one's not good?
The one behind the cabin.
Not good, huh?
Yeah, there's just no bedding there. It's big timber and sandstone cliffs and shit. Like, they come, I don't know where they're laying, but they come from far away.
Yeah.
Or further away.
Yeah.
On occasion, I get a daylight picture, and I've killed one off of there. But, like, not common, and probably more rut like to be up moving to, like, on a straight pattern. Not so much. And I think that's a hard thing for people to think, because it's like, I'm in the game on these bucks. I've got them on camera. They're here. They're using the property. Well, it's all at night. Like, you're not in the game. Like, your property isn't.
No, that's true.
You don't have a chance. I bet that's
a chance, but it's not good.
I bet that's a lot of properties. A lot of properties are that way.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so it's like, obviously having food and stuff makes sense, but in that case, like, you don't need food, you need bedding, right?
Just habitat.
Yep, you need habitat, because the food aspect is great. Like, they're still going to keep coming at night, but if they don't have a secure place to be, they're not going to be there during the day. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would define habitat as stuff like that they live in, like, not that they travel through necessarily.
Correct.
They obviously have to travel through habitat. I mean, you can't break it down to that level, but you want to maximize the habitat on your property to maximize, the chances of daylight movement, to maximize the chances of killing them. Yeah,
I think that's
pretty straightforward.
It is, and I mean, maybe it is in the smaller blocks, but, like, just trying to think of, like, on some of my places, like we did a timber cut, and, like, there's definitely deer living in there, and I get a lot of daylight buck pictures. But it's like, if you were to try to create that, let's say you had a property that you're getting all night buck pictures, right? You don't have any daylight pictures, and you're like, okay, I need to create habitat. Is it just making thick bedding areas? Is it cutting trees? Is it planting something? Is it a combination of everything? Is it burning? Like,
yeah, it's all of it.
And then per our previous conversations, is that deer going to adapt and change to that, or are you going to have to raise the next generation of deer to understand that is the secure bedding area?
I think it's both.
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. I just...
They will. Yeah, I mean, if you...
I'm not saying that they won't use it, but I think that some of those mature deer are just... They know where they need to be. And if it's a new area, I'm not saying that they won't use it. I just don't know if they'll just say, oh, this is better than my other area. I'm going to stay here now.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to give them something better.
And how long does that take for them to feel like it's better?
I think it could be pretty quick.
Because, I mean, we're all on the same page of like...
Yeah, it depends on the surrounding. I mean,
year after year, they're using the same areas that they feel secure.
It goes to the surrounding property. You know, I mean, that's, you know, our conversation with Bomar comes to mind. He's talking about buying them in the brownest down counties. And really what I think he meant was, you know, buying areas where people are not investing in their properties, are not improving habitat. They're not providing year-round food. They're not, you know, Greg would say the same thing. And anybody, you know, if you can provide the best groceries, the best cover, you know, all that stuff in the neighborhood, they're gonna move there. I would say pretty quickly,
unless you're in a bait state. I don't say that to pick on baiting, but
yeah,
I say,
well, that's you're just saying you can override habitat with
because that's where I'm like maybe I don't know, maybe inadvertently, like I have bought in the areas where nobody's managing around me for deer. They're baiting in Kentucky and Ohio. I'm using those two areas, not our Illinois farm. They're baiting, and I would say that for sure I've put the most work and the most money into improving those places. And I definitely have, it's gotten better, but I don't necessarily know if it's exponentially better than my neighbors who are just putting out corn.
Well, right. Yeah, there's only so much you can do. I mean, you can override habitat with a good corn pile, you know?
Crazy to think that. Like
would not that crazy. It's the most effective. Yeah, I mean, it's effective. That's
well, but you would just think that, like, again, like, and I do think some of those mature bucks are understanding of that pile of corn, and I shouldn't be there during daylight. But
some are smart enough. I mean, there are, you know, I think certain deer will choose remote security cover over, but
but it's just that
things happen. I mean, they get hungry. It gets cold.
They like corn.
They like corn, you know?
Yeah.
Some more than others.
It's corn.
For sure. Can you imagine more beautiful thing? Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think those are the things that keep me up at night. Like when it's like you make the
that keeps you up at night.
Like you make the improvements.
You gotta accept that. It's just
you're just like, why are they not doing what they should be doing? And yeah, maybe it is the corn thing, or maybe it's pressure, or maybe it's poaching. Like I don't know, but like, yeah, those are the things that
keeps you up. Huh?
Keeps me up at night, or wakes me up at night.
The sooner you understand that, it's I mean that's just the nature of it. You know, that comes with the bait states. But
yeah, unlike in an Illinois, per what we've been doing, we've been really working on improving the CRP. We haven't done a lot with the timber, which I'll be interested to see what that kind of looks like. That block is kind of weird in that it's a lot of walnut, and it does have like some sub-story there, which is weird. Like it's not just a biological desert in there. But like I would assume, like we've talked about.
I assume it was timbered. I mean, if we asked Carl, I bet it was timbered like 15, 20 years ago, something like that.
I bet it was more than that.
More?
Yeah, because I bet some of those walnuts are 20,
maybe
20 plus. But that said, like if we were to cut that and create that into a 25-acre block of jungle, right? I would assume that would attract and hold more deer.
Yeah, I'm sure we could improve it. I think that's one of the cool things about the Midwest is it seems to have more of just generally speak, you see that. Like I think it has to do with soil fertility, and so there's more grasses in the woods, and so just naturally they have better cover there. But yeah, I'm sure we could bring some trees down, you know, do some TSI and
open up canopy, get it thicker, and I would assume, and so it's, I guess, not the rabbit hole down it. The question is are they using it because you improved it better, or are they using it because there's limited options, or both? You know what I mean? Because like most of the area is tillable and fields and stuff around.
I mean, there's plenty of cover. I mean, yeah, if you can go to the next wood block in any direction, I mean, some are further than others, but I don't know, man. I mean, like deer have home ranges, you know what I mean? And they don't know necessarily what's, you know what I mean? They just live where they live in some cases. Like as if they have a habitable area, like with good or decent, you know, unless they have a reason to leave, you know, but like I'm saying, you can improve it and you can increase your holding capacity, I think, or the quality of it. I think that, you know, there's a range that they'll accept. I also don't think they think on that terms, you know, it's just kind of like, it's like us, you know, if we're just out there surviving and it's like, man, you know, things are okay. You'd be like, hey, this is okay. But, you know, you happen to like, you know, follow a girl over to a new restaurant and you're like, these friggin' wings are fire. You know?
That's great.
You're like, I'm gonna come here more. I mean,
yeah,
I might even like buy an apartment nearby. You know, if they're that good, it's like I have everything that I need here, type of a thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talk about like the Iowa guys and stuff. Like, for sure, as those guys like improve habitat and stuff, it's like the response is like,
you know what? I actually hear that a lot. I have heard more and more guys say that they'll pull in deer with year round food. They'll pull in a buck and he'll stay. I have heard that quite a few times actually.
Yeah, I don't see that. Like if I see them, like I randomly, I don't.
I think it's the mortality rates where we're at are just higher. It's harder to observe those patterns.
Yeah, I would say so. And those are the things that like just trying to look at or talk to people about like how are we improving our properties or what are we doing? Like everyone's different. Like my initial thought on my newer Kentucky piece was I have all this open ground. I'm gonna put all this food on it. Maybe it's not the first year, but by year 2 or 3, deer are going to stumble in here and be like, holy shit, there's 10 acres of beans here. And there is no beans around me. Hadn't happened. Not yet.
That is surprising.
And there have been, last year there were 2 bucks. One was a 3 and one was a 4-year-old that were really nice deer that showed up in the rut that I'd never seen before, hung around a couple days, never came back. Like I thought, would they not come back in the late, if they survived, right? Yeah. That's a big if. But would they not come back in the late season knowing there's all this food here?
This year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe they're dead. So that would be a reason. That'd be a reason. But
or they didn't need it.
Or they didn't need it. Yeah. Maybe they've got browse or
I think that's what it is. I mean, dude, deer, they have to have things to survive, and that they're going to find it somewhere, and it's going to be in relation to their existing home range, to what is there, what other things are out there. And you don't know, it's like all is your property or at best, some of the surrounding stuff. And so you try to like make it the best for what is there, but you don't know what you don't know, and
yeah, I think if it's like, how am I visioning this off season this year going into the season? It's like, food's important. The planted food is important, but it's not nearly as important as the habitat in general. Mm-hmm. And again, maybe that gets overrode in states like Ohio and Kentucky because of bait. That sucks. Sure. Nothing you can do there. Sure. But in theory, it's great to have 10 acres of planted beans and that they're there for them. But if the habitat around those 10 acres sucks, those deer aren't hanging around.
You can still make it better. It's just, it can be frustrating because it won't have the result.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just saying that's where the focus has to shift. It's like, great, you have food. They're not sticking there. It's because the problem isn't the food, it's the habitat. And they do work together, right? You want to have both.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it does seem like if you don't have the habitat, doesn't matter if you have the food or not, they're not going to stick around long term.
Not long term, no.
And they probably aren't sitting there on your property during daylight hours when it matters.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's tough. I mean, it's like it's a different conversation in a bait state versus a non-bait state, especially the food, like you're saying. Because you do still have to have it. I mean, it's just because you can't control baiting or how much or if it is or isn't happening or when it is and when it isn't. You don't know. So all you can do is provide food and
hope,
understand that it's that the properties around you are affecting it, but that's just it. It's what it is. What it is.
Yeah, I mean that's the people think. I talked to somebody on Instagram the other day, and they were like, "You guys just have it all figured out." And I'm like, "I don't know shit, dude." Like I'm still like I planted a bunch of food. I had good deer. They left me. All right, so now I got to look at my habitat. If I make my habitat better and I have good food, do they stay? The hope is, or the logic would be, they do, but I don't know, And so it's just. Every year is something new into the puzzle of like what worked last year, what didn't. Big one this year, we talked about it before, is like on my Ohio place after this timber cut, I have a lot of browse and everything. Do those deer pal in there in July, August, September, early October, and then when mass starts to fall, if we have another bumper acorn year, do they leave? And if that's the case, like, is that the DNA of the farm? Like, does that ever change? I don't know. But you've got to change your strategy of hunting to try to maximize when you know they are going to use it.
Yeah, that's the answer.
And because I know.
Just kill them when they're there.
Well, we've talked about, and yours, I guess, yours has gotten way better, but there's definitely other, like Illinois comes to mind when we talk about standing corn and stuff. People are like, my farm is I don't even need to hunt until late season, and then the bucks will be there. And I'm like, I've never even seen a farm where late season hunting is good. Like, it's not even like by the time I get to December, like I don't have any food left over. And so like when you hear these guys are like, no, like January is the best time. Like I'm just waiting for that first temperature drop after Christmas, and that's when I'll kill my biggest buck. I'm like, it's hard for me to even think about like how that, it makes sense logically, like the deer need that food at that time, but it's just, most years I'm defeated by that point. the game's over, you know. But you know,
that's a you problem. I mean, it happens for sure.
It's kind of the properties I have. Like they just aren't conducive to a late season, you know, hunt. And whether that's
tough. It's
the
tough.
Baiting thing or the way they structure, like who knows?
Yeah,
but
there's way fewer of those situations than there are like, you know, a good funnel.
Yeah, like there are plenty of places where it's like, well,
and they take work.
Yeah, it does take work. And yeah, some of those rut funnels are just, it's topography. It's how it lays out. It's what's around you. Like they are what they are.
I would say for sure. I mean, I would say there's way more good rut stands or rut funnels than there are.
How would you diagnose our Illinois farm at this point? What do you think its DNA is?
It doesn't seem to be, you know, a good early season farm. I would say that.
Surprisingly, we thought this year with the beans around it would be. Didn't seem that way.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's.
We did have more mature bucks on camera in the early season, like in the summer this year, than we did 2 years ago.
Yeah, but not so much in October.
No. I'm talking like August.
I'm talking about like huntable pattern. I mean, you're right. So I don't know if that's like an area thing, like if that's a lot of or if that's just ours. I'm not sure, but
October was worse this year than it was the previous year from a camera standpoint and like seeing mature deer standpoint.
Yeah, well, you're talking about the end of October. The year before, we had like kind of an influx there that just didn't really seem to happen. Yeah, it seemed like we had a more consistency this year, though. Like just like throughout from summer all the way through, like there was a more steady. But it was different. Yeah, I mean, I would say it's for sure a good rut farm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, there's just the way that they move on it. It's able to be capitalized on. And I just think the rut goes way later than most people think, you know. So I'm like that would take you from November 1st.
Yeah, or even earlier, like last week of October.
Yeah, clear through
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, clear through. Yeah,
because when you were there during gun season, like you were rut hunting them.
When was that?
That was the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they were rutting. So yeah, the whole month of November I think is really solid, and I do think there's late season opportunities too.
Yeah, we could have killed several of those deer in the late season.
Absolutely, and they just were hitting a different food source than we expected, and that's I think that's situational. You know, I think it's from year to year, depending on how much food is in the woods.
Yeah, no snow this year, so they didn't really have to dig through. The clover was just there.
I think snow is a big factor.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest things that pushes them to grain. They got to have something.
Yeah, it's just there above the snow line.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's a November to end of season type.
It's interesting just because like I think when we got into that farm, knowing just ag around it, I would have thought like, man, early like in October we could kill something pretty easily because there's no cover and just big ag around us. And maybe, you know, it very well could have happened this year, but it definitely seems like it turned a little bit different. So yeah, it's cool because we've been trying to diagnose this thing. It's 2 years into this thing, and it's like this is the first repeatable year from a crop rotation. So it'll be mostly corn around us this year. I do think that we have a way better chance of finding a pile of sheds this year than we did last year, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, mainly because we didn't walk for sheds last year.
Well,
we didn't look.
But I don't think
we're gonna find all last year sheds this year.
Yeah, I don't think there were a ton of deer hanging around last year late either. We had a better food source this year, late season.
Well, that's the biggest difference.
Yep. And
we didn't have any standing grain last year.
No, we had brassicas and some clover. Yep. And the brassicas didn't turn out real well.
Yeah.
So basically clover.
Yeah. Well, that's right. No, we had very little the first year because we just went in and like last minute tried to throw some stuff down.
Yep. So yeah, so it's like
The food on that farm, man. Yeah, we're in good shape.
Yeah, and I say because people, well, I'm glad they did. They really have dove into this whole DNA of a farm thing, and I like that because I think it is important to understand. Like, is you're an early season, is a rut farm?
Oh, yeah.
But I do think that constant manipulation, not only on your farm, but what happens to neighbors and stuff around you, can change that DNA on your farm. It'll always want to go back to what it's like best for, like an early season farm or a late season farm or a rut funnel. But as things change on that farm, as you try to enhance it as well, and maybe even more importantly, of what happens around you, do they take out a hedgerow in ag country? That all starts to really change that farm from a DNA standpoint. And yeah, so you may have an early season farm that becomes a good rut funnel. Who knows? Or maybe you had good food standing and there's no food around it and they show back up in late season.
I think you can. Yeah. If the conversation is, can you change the DNA of the farm? I mean, it can take a lot of effort in some cases, and other cases, some things are easier. It's easier to cut trees than to wait for switchgrass to grow, but I think both can have an effect.
Same end result, two different avenues to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because who wouldn't love to have an all season farm? Right. I mean, that's going to give you.
You think those exist?
Yeah. Size has a lot to do with it.
Size does matter.
Size matters, as they say. Yeah. I mean, you have being on a farm, you're going to overlap, different habitat types. And that's, I think, what dictates DNA.
Those are the forever farms, huh?
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm. Well, neighboring pressure, big factor.
Yeah. Things can change around it. Yeah. But
nothing's ever the same. You're not going to find a forever, and it's always going to be, things do change. So you got to just.
We've talked to people here even this week in our meetings that was like some of the best farms they ever had, like small changes happened around them, and like a housing development went in or something and just went to complete shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, you would have, if you would have told me that I wouldn't see a booner every year in that farm, I would have laughed at you. And then all of a sudden I wasn't seeing bucks, let alone booners on the farm.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, anything from disease to pressure to,
development,
crop changes. Yeah, all of that. Yeah, I mean, dude,
timber cuts.
Deer are just, they're built to survive. So yeah,
that's all they have to do, man. Breed and survive.
Stay ahead of them and give them what they want and go in one time and hopefully kill them.
We're working on it. I'm excited to get to the Illinois farm this week, and
I am stoked.
6 to 8 sheds. That's the prediction. 1 to 2 match sets.
I'm saying 8 or more.
Oh, taking the over on the 8.
Yeah,
I'd be the under on the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Optimistically.
I bet I find more than you do.
Bold statement.
Yeah,
it's gonna be sunny, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
We'll walk in the shade.
Need some of those fungi glasses or whatever they're using. They're like,
right.
I've tried to ask 9 people. I'm like,
glasses,
does that work at all? And nobody can give me an answer. They're like, I don't know.
Yeah. The forensic jizz glasses. That's what I call those. Whoa.
Just looking for shrooms. It's out there looking for shrooms. Anyways, we appreciate listening to Farm Companion today, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Farm Companion.
Take me